along the way, you have checkpoints and milestones that you hit, just like in business. We're all in the business for the long haul, hopefully. And it really ties together with an ultra journey. And along the journey, you stop into an aid station. And while you're there, they get you correct. They help fix things that are wrong. They refuel you for the journey in the future.
It's the difference between running self-supported or unsupported in ultra running or supported. And there's these things in the ultra running world called FKTs, fastest known time. So there's some epic trail or challenge that becomes known or sort of recognized. For instance, running back and forth through the Grand Canyon 5 times without stopping, that's an FKT. And so they have these sort of records of how fast someone did these things.
Welcome to the Property Management Success Podcast, where we interview leaders in the industry to uncover the secrets to profitability, efficiency, and achieving true freedom, whether it's your time, money, or lifestyle. I'm your host, Tony Cline, and I'm here to help you build a wildly successful property management business. Let's get to it. Hey, Mark, how's it going this week?
Tony, what is going on?
Well, I'll tell you, I've kind of been torn. My attention's been torn here. The last couple of days, I've been really working on business and working with my clients and, doing everything you got to do to try to stay focused on business. But I've also been a little bit distracted because right now the Cocodona 250 is going on right now. And it's 259 or 250 miles. And Jeff Browning is at mile 235.
Wow.
And Jeff is my coach's coach.
Yeah. Your coach's coach. Your coach
Yeah.
ran it last year, right?
My coach ran it last year. I was a part of his crew, part of his pacing team, and he won it and set the course record last year. And so Jeff Browning's running it this year, and
Are we on
he's in
course
first
record
place.
pace?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think he's gonna set a new record for it. And then
man.
Harry Sabertis or Harold, yeah. Geraldus Sabertis, we call him King Harry in our little circle because he's pretty good. But he actually crewed and paced me at the Tahoe 200 last year and at the Moab 240, and he's currently in second place.
Okay, let's tell our listeners what Cocodona 250 is.
Yeah, so it's a 250-mile race, point-to-point race. I can't remember where it starts, but
this is a foot race. Let's be clear. This is on foot. It starts just north of Phoenix here, just like I think just a little bit north of Anthem, maybe similar to one of the other ultras, Black Canyon, kind of similar to where that one ends. Anyway, you are running north in Arizona, which those of us who live here know that when you're running north, you're going uphill. And so you're snaking all the way through the mountains and these mining towns and up and around and then eventually you end in Flagstaff.
Yep. Yeah. So it's a pretty cool race. So I've been torn. It's one of the few 200-mile races that they actually can broadcast because you get cell signal and satellite signal, and they've got drones. So it's live broadcast for the last, 52 hours or something like that on YouTube. So
yeah.
One of my crews and pacers, Brandon, he sent a text yesterday. He's like, I used to wonder how my dad could sit and watch an entire day's worth of golf on TV. It just seems so boring. And he's like, now I get it.
Oh man. The broadcast, the first year they ran Cocodona, is this the third year? Fourth year?
I think it's the fourth. I think it's the fourth.
Third or fourth. First year they did the broadcast, the hosts were so sleep deprived and delirious by the end that I remember the end of the broadcast, they made a joke about a Coca donut that they were eating, and they just couldn't stop laughing, and then they shut it off. They shut it off. Okay, why are we talking about ultra running? Oh, this is a good segue into the name of our show, because we've already recorded several sessions, but we just came on the name.
Yeah, so this is the Property Management Aid Station with Mark Brower and Tony Cline. And
what's an aid station?
Well, so along the journey, especially in something ultra distance like running 200 or 250 miles, along the way, you have checkpoints and milestones that you hit, just like in business. You know, we're all in the business for the long haul, hopefully. And it really ties together with an ultra journey. And along the journey, you stop into an aid station, and while you're there, they get you correct. They help fix things that are wrong. They refuel you for the journey in the future. And it just seems real appropriate that you and I, being a couple of long distance guys, doing a lot of foot races, trail races, you spend a lot of time out on the trail alone, which is not unlike the entrepreneur's journey. But it's nice to come into an aid station, get some support, figure out what you're going to do to get from here to the next place. Maybe you'll pick up a pacer, somebody that's going to run along with you for a little bit. So yeah, I'm excited to take this journey with you as we go down the ultra path of property management, just sharing and helping others out.
Yep, at an aid station, a runner at the beginning of an ultra might look like this, and then sometimes when they pull into an aid station, they look like this.
Yeah,
that's an actual picture of a woman who just made history and being the first finisher ever in the Barkley marathons, which is its own legacy. So I love the idea that you and I are here at the aid station. This is a point in the journey. We're here when maybe people are coming in, they're not thinking straight. They need a little helpful advice or a tip. We can tell them what worked for us. Can't give advice that perfectly solves everything. We can say what worked for us and give some encouragement and then send them on their way.
Yep. So one of the things my coach, Mike McKnight, in the running world talks about is we don't celebrate when we get to the aid station. We celebrate when we leave, because when you leave, you're all fueled up, you're ready to go, and you're moving forward. You're back on the journey. So
I love
let's
that.
let's get these folks through the aid station here and back on the journey.
Let's do it.
All right. So we've spent a few episodes talking a little bit about growth and business development and targeting our target client, but let's talk a little bit about what it looks like. A lot of us in this business, we start with being the solo entrepreneur, the one person that gets everything going, the person that everything has to funnel through. We become the bottleneck. And at some point, we know, even though our ego might get in the way, that if we could just get ourselves out of the way, we could really expand what's possible with our business. But it's hard to do that. It's hard to go from something that you've got up and running pretty smooth and say, it's running pretty smooth. I am intentionally going to step back and allow it to break a little bit so that I can build it better in the future. So what are your thoughts on that?
Makes me think of a book. The One Thing, there's two books. One book is Vern Harnish. He wrote a book called Scaling Up. And one time I heard Vern speak live. He's really involved in entrepreneur organization. And Vern, in his speech, he said, you need your big, hairy, audacious goal, that thing, 5-10 years out that's really inspiring you. And then you need to focus on the one thing. Like, that's it, he was advocating, don't worry so much about 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever. Know where you're going in the long run. And then what is your bottleneck? What is your one thing that if you figure this out, everything gets easier or it becomes irrelevant? And for so many of us, at some point in our property management business building journey, we realize, oh my gosh, I'm the bottleneck. Like, I've got to get out of the way. How do I get myself out of the way?
I think those that actually realize that, they're the lucky ones, because I think there's a lot of people that don't actually have that enlightenment that they're the bottleneck. They think they're the one that's holding it all together. And one of two things is true. Either they're wrong about that or they're right about that. But in either case, they don't then own a business. They own a job that frankly they can't quit, because if they are truly the one that's holding it all together, if they're the one holding it all together, they have to be there. And if they're not the one holding it all together, then they don't have trust and confidence in their team. And so how do we actually go about taking them out of that role and allowing somebody else to step in to fill the role and to do it better?
Well, there's a few pieces to this, right, Tony? So one of the pieces is getting realistic and about what other people can deliver versus what you alone can deliver, and starting to sell to that instead of selling to what your maximum capability is.
Mm-hmm.
Should we talk about that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think to go with our theme here, you can go out and run an ultra, and there are guys that are in that race, in that 250-mile race we're talking about today, that are doing it on their own, no crew, no pacers, and some of them will do okay that way, and some of them are going to crash and burn because when you're out there for hours and hours on end, you talk about being sleep deprived, you start making poor decisions, you have no one to bounce your decisions off of, nobody to run things by, and you're doing it all yourself. But if you bring somebody in as part of your crew that's hanging out at the aid station, waiting for you to come in, waiting for you to give you the necessary resources, or you actually take a pacer with you out on the trail, that pacer can actually take on a lot of the thinking for you, telling you when to eat, when to drink, make sure you're managing your electrolytes, all of that. And so when you're out there on the trail, it's no different than being an entrepreneur, where if you're the one doing everything, it's just a matter of time until you crash. And so it's how can we build that team and that culture around the idea and not the person.
Absolutely. It's the difference between running self-supported or unsupported in ultra running or supported. And there's these things in the ultra running world called FKTs, fastest known time. So there's some epic trail or challenge that becomes known or sort of recognized. For instance, running back and forth through the Grand Canyon 5 times without stopping, that's an FKT. And so they have these sort of records of how fast someone did these things. And the supported FKTs are always faster than the unsupported or self-supported FKTs. So once we realize that we need support in our business, once we realize that either we're not as smart as we thought we were, or that other people possess complementary strengths to ours, where we're going to be able to move forward faster, then we're looking for that support.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do we actually go about in business building up that team and letting go and allowing other people to step in to fill some of that role? I know part of it comes down to we have to allow ourselves to communicate the vision, but have other people help us execute it. But we also have to know what that vision is. And this ties back to something you mentioned earlier about what Vern Harris had said, which was, finding that big thing way out there that's going to motivate you and pull you forward. It can't just be something that you think about when you're at your house or when you're driving to work. It has to be something that is just a part of the entire company, that vision. And I've been a part of companies that have a really strong vision, and I've been a part of a company or companies that have really missing vision. Like nobody really knows. We know we come to work every day. We know we're doing something every day, but we don't really get the big picture. There is no big picture as far as the staff is concerned. So how do we go about doing that? How do we
Oh man, this is so important. This is so important because people don't just work for a paycheck. That's a transactional relationship. You're never going to have a high performing team. You're never going to have a championship team if everybody's there for a transaction.
Yeah.
I'm trading my time for dollars. I punch out. I'm shutting everything down. This has no correlation with who I am as a person and where I'm going on my life journey. This is a job, and I'm working for the weekend. That's one end of the spectrum, right? The other end of the spectrum is It's almost a religion. It's actually transcends the day-to-day work. It's I know I am exchanging the best hours of my day and the best days of my life to come to this place and work on something together with these people, and we trust each other, we have each other's backs, and what we're working for matters a lot to me personally because it's part of my personal transformation journey in my life. That's a really compelling transformational relationship. And I think the difference between people working together in a transactional environment and a transformational environment is massive.
So what do you say to the people who, because I agree with you, but there are people out there that I know when they listen to this, I'm going to get a few texts or emails. There's a few people in the industry that are going to talk about, we don't need all that, that nonsense, that,
Fluff.
that touchy feely fluff stuff. It's all about the numbers. It's all about the spreadsheet. If I want somebody to perform better, I create a compensation plan where if they do better, they get more money, and people really just care about the money. What do you have to say about them so we can preemptively address that so they don't have to reach out to us?
I would say, are you an engineer? No, I'm just kidding. Um, wow. All I can talk from is personal experience. I when there's a compelling vision, I get excited. If I'm talking about something that I really believe in and I'm sharing it with the people I'm working with and I get the chills, that I think that's a signal from heaven that this matters and this is what I should be working on. I really feel like there's that kind of connection sometimes when we tap into our life's purpose. And I fundamentally reject the idea that, people are just coming for money. They're not. People want a reason to rally around. They want a life of meaning. Stephen Covey says that people want four things. They want to live, love, learn, and leave a legacy. And you're not really living if you're not in transformational relationships where you feel personal growth. Studies show that people like compensations, what, like number 4 or 5 on the motivators for why people work somewhere. And look at people that walk through brick walls at startup companies because it's something they believe in. Now, of course, they think there's a future reward, but that's also part of my job as a company owner and leader is to be growing my company fast enough that I can attract A players that have a transformational journey and that have future opportunities for learning and growth. But the learning and the growth is a more powerful thing than just the money. And it's a powerful recruitment tool. It's a powerful enrollment tool. It's everything. To quote my business coach, he says, Mark, enrollment is everything. You can't enroll, you can only enroll people so much in dollars that they're going to get on Friday. You're going to hit a ceiling.
Well, yeah, and it's been my experience that when you pay somebody, if you gave somebody a $500 a month raise, in 3 or 4 months, they've already figured out where that money's going to go. The thrill of it is gone, and they're back to performing the same way they were before. So if you're using the money to motivate them to get better performance, yeah, it makes a little bit of a difference. But like you said, it's not the main driving factor. When you do look at championship teams, those teams come together. Sometimes teams that don't even like each other come together for a common purpose because they all have a shared vision and they figure out how to put their differences aside to accomplish the vision. Now, maybe on the court, they're a team. Off the court, maybe they're not. And that's not the team we want to build. We want to build a team where people genuinely like each other, but more importantly, they have to be able to rely on each other and know that they're carrying forth the vision of the company by performing their tasks and holding up their end of the bargain.
So just to recap, last few minutes, we talked about realizing at some point that we are the bottlenecks, the solopreneur, the founder, the president, CEO of your own company, small company as it's growing, you realize you're the bottleneck. And when you realize that, or when you accept that, which was a hard thing for me, I always thought of myself as really smart. I can solve this. I can do it all. If it is to be, it's up to me. Once we figure out, yeah, but we're going to do better with more people and smart people, and smart in ways that we're not smart, then vision becomes absolutely critical, because to recruit and enroll people, vision is paramount. You're never going to get the top players that you could have on your team if you don't have a compelling vision. And so it reminds me of the story of the bricklayers. Guy comes up on the bricklayers. There's 3 different bricklayers. They're all working on this wall. Ask the first guy, what are you doing? He says, can't you see? I'm setting this brick, Next guy says, so what are you doing? Oh, can't you see? I'm building this wall. Third guy, what are you doing? I'm building this cathedral so that I can be closer to God, and that's the difference. Like, if someone sees a vision of what you're doing that transcends themselves and transcends the work they're doing right then, what a powerful thing.
Yeah. I've talked about this quite a bit, and I can't remember if I've mentioned it on a previous episode, but people really long to be a part of something great. We've become so separated. People used to it used to be more common for people to be on a bowling league or to have neighborhood barbecues or to whatever. And it just seems like we've become so separated that if we can find a way to connect with people and then make a difference, we haven't talked really about what our vision of the company should be. And maybe we can transition into uh, sharing about how to create a vision and how to communicate that. But we've just become so disconnected that if we give people a chance to connect, and maybe not everybody, maybe not every personality type, but people long to be a part of something great. And if you can give them the vision of that you believe you're creating something great, even if they don't yet believe in it themselves, if they believe that you believe, sometimes that's enough to get things started.
Simon Sinek wrote the book Start With Why. He said that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Mm-hmm. And I think there's no place that's more true than when you, as the founder, leader, CEO of your company, are doing the most important activity, which is recruiting and enrolling other people in your vision, in your dream. Dan Sullivan wrote the book Who Not How. And in it, they talked about that there are literally, well, I shouldn't use that word. There are nearly infinite resources available in other people wanting to enroll themselves in your vision and making your dreams come true. And it's like, whoa, really? They're out there? Yeah. But if you don't have any passion around a vision, why are they going to come to you? And why are they going to come to you and offer their time at wholesale prices for you to mark it up and charge retail on? Why would they do that? They need a vision.
Yeah. Okay. So so far, we could almost be accused of talking and building the fluff, right? You need a vision. It's
all theory.
You need to communicate. It's all theory. Let's get down to some execution. So, what's been your experience with being able to build a great company around a great vision? And I know I may be leading you a little bit. I know you recently had a conversation with a prospective employee, and I won't share any more of that story unless you don't come back to it. But let's talk about creating that vision, sharing that vision, and then using that vision to your advantage.
Last year, I had the good fortune of being asked by Second Nature, fantastic company in our industry, to interview Cameron Herold. Cameron Herold wrote the book Vivid Vision. And what a great read. Small book, easy read, powerful idea. And the idea was, instead of having a pithy 2 to 3 sentence mission statement or vision statement for your company, a vision is it's like a painting. Could you describe in great clarity a beautiful picture with 2 to 3 sentences? Absolutely not. So take the time. The point of the book was take the time and describe in great detail the visual future state of your company in all these important dimensions 3 years from now. So I took the time to do that. And while I was typing it out, and he also said, if it doesn't scare you, it's not bold enough. So that was frightening. While I was typing it out, I'm just in the flow. I'm just thinking. And I've thought about vision a lot over the last 15 years and what our mission is, our vision is. And it leveled up for me in a big way. And I was just typing, and in the middle of these 4 pages I typed out, the words came to me: we are good people helping other good people do more good. And that took me over a decade to come to, because what I'm doing in my property management company is I'm helping people build wealth in a stress-free manner. That's a worthwhile vision. But later I connected that idea to the fact that when people build wealth, when they get more money, it makes them more of who they are. So I don't want to help the jerk make more money. I don't want to dedicate my life to that. But if I can find good people, help them build wealth, and then they do more good by raising great kids that become great citizens, and they contribute in their churches and their communities, and they treat people ethically, and they're generous with their time, like, man, now my life can be magnified through hundreds of other people who can do more good. And helping good people do more good just hits at the core of who I want to be. And so when I shared that with my team, eyes light up. And it's powerful, because the people that want to be part of that vision come into the organization. The people are like, screw that. I want to be, I want to do something else. They leave the organization.
Yeah. It's kind of like handing people a jersey and saying, are you going to be a part of the team? Do you want to wear the jersey? Do you want to wear our logo, our message? And some people are going to say, yeah, it's a little over the top for me. I don't know if I want all that. I just want that paycheck you're talking about. But this is good because it weeds them out. It gets somebody out of the team so you can replace them with somebody that is going to buy into where you're headed.
So sorry, go ahead.
let me ask you this, because I want to tie this together. So you said that it took you 10 years or so to sit down and draft that message, create that vision. So I want to ask you, realistically, how tough was that? Because it took you 10 years to decide to do it or sit down and do it. How tough was it to say, I'm going to be intentional about what we're doing with the business and where it's going, and I'm going to be bold and vulnerable and have that little component that scares you a little bit, and I'm going to communicate that out. I'm going to say it publicly, or at least internally, to our team. How hard was that?
Well, the part about helping good people do more good, that we're good people helping good people do more good, that wasn't hard. That was just, I felt gratitude that those words were given to me, and that I'd arrived at a point in the journey where that was more clear, because I super satisfying, super exciting that I could share that with everybody. Scared out of my mind was the other part of the Vivid Vision, where I said we're going to be adding 100 doors a month by December 2026, because I have no idea how I'm possibly going to be doing that, And then I put that out there for people. It's almost like I'm defining my future failure, Like, that's the fear. Like, I'm putting my stake in the ground and telling the world that I'm going to fail if I don't hit this, and I don't like that. It makes me really uncomfortable. I don't know if I answered your question, but the years and the hundreds of hours thinking and journaling and talking to coaches, and like, that's what eventually brought clarity to my vision. And it's what I stand for. And it's really part of who I am at my core. And so that was not easy. It was awesome when I got that clarity, but there was a journey to get there for sure. And I think sometimes people just rush through it. And they just write something down. Is that what you're getting at? Where are you going with this?
Well, I want to circle back to the planting the flag and defining your future failure. I want to come back to that, so don't let me forget. But the reason I asked how hard it was is I've walked several of my clients through this exercise where they have to get really clear on what the heck are we doing with this business? Like, yeah, I'm making some money this month and probably next month and maybe for the next 6 months, because I know even if I stop doing anything, it would take a while for the business to wither and die. So I've got some income coming in. But to be intentional about what you're trying to build, as I walk them through that, one of the things that I've heard is that people spend more time planning out their 1 week vacation than they do planning out their life or their career or what's important to them personally. And I think it's simple, but very difficult for people to do this. It's a simple exercise. If I want to plan out a vacation, I have a start date, an end date, a destination. I have certain things I want to hit during those 5 days. But if I'm trying to define what my life is, just like you said, a lot of people are afraid to plant that flag and say, this is what I want to accomplish, because if they don't hit it, there's a failure component. But I've always lived that success is built on the foundation of failure. There is no success until you've failed your way there. And so there's a difference between failure to me and not hitting a goal. And one of the things that when I said I wanted to circle back around, when you talk about planting your flag, I don't know if you're like this with your races or not, but I know when I make a commitment for my training or I make a commitment for a race, I know when I make that commitment whether or not I'm going to hit that goal. Because I know whether or not I'm going to be committed enough to do the things that it requires to hit the goal. And I also know where my weak points are, and I know how easy it is to maybe not do a 4-hour run on a Saturday because it's in my training and think I'll justify that by adding another long run later in the week and then not doing it. Like, leading up to it, whether or not you're going to hit it. So I don't know that I buy the statement that you made about you don't want to necessarily define what you're trying to do because sticking that flag in the ground defines a possible future failure.
Oh, you want me to respond to that?
I'm just giving you space to reflect on that.
When you were just talking, I thought, we can't always commit to outcomes, but we can commit to our contributions. Mm-hmm. And so when I hear you talking about committing to like setting a goal, what you're doing is you're committing to the training, you're committing to the contributions. And for me, one of the reasons I have a business coach and we go through monthly, quarterly, annual planning and accountability meetings. And in fact, on my desktop right now, there's 2 things I'm looking at right now that show me what I'm supposed to get done this month, this 30 days, and what I'm supposed to get done this quarter. And I've committed to those, and they're in front of me every day because I know if I'm not thinking about those things all the time and I'm not contributing action toward those things, then it's a fool's errand to think that I'm committed to the outcome.
Yeah. I'll kind of close with this and then we can kind of shift topics. But I've always said that in the race, on race day, the work is done. It's kind of like a real estate closing. The hay's in the barn, right? It's a real estate closing. It's the race. I've done everything I can possibly do to determine the outcome. There's going to be a little bit of luck, good or bad, that happens on that day, but that's the celebration for me.
Celebration.
The race is the celebration, not the work. The work has been done. And now, I'm going to go out and I'm going to struggle and I'm going to think about why the heck am I doing this again? Because I'm suffering and I'm miserable. But the moment I get to one aid station, then the next aid station, and I see me actually accomplishing the thing that has been in my vision for the last 2 years or a year or 6 months or however long I've been planning to run this race and train for this race, you see the vision actually start to come true. And at each aid station, you're picking up a little bit more and a little bit more momentum. And so I just feel like you articulated it great. It's the commitment to the process. And if you commit to the process and you have somebody that's helping you figure out, is that the right process? Because you can commit to the wrong process, obviously. But if you're committing to the right process, the outcome will come. And maybe it doesn't come this year, maybe it comes next year. But if you're still getting the outcome, I've got to say that's a success to me, because I've done everything I can to make that outcome come. And it just maybe didn't come on the timeline I wanted, but I still was doing everything possible to get there.
And when that ties in with vision for me is committing to those actions. That's not easy. It's not easy to go out for a 4-hour run. It's not easy 3 days a week to spend 2 hours of focused time reading and journaling. It's not easy to put the meeting cadences in place in your business, to have KPIs and accountability meetings and create a safe culture where mistakes are revealed and cases are studied and root causes are identified and solutions are put in place to avoid that issue next time. Those things are not easy, but those become tolerable if we have a really compelling vision where people are willing to park their ego on the side. They're willing to contribute the time, not just punching easy time playing Candy Crush as much as they can to get that paycheck at the end of the week, but actually doing thinking work. That's hard. That's hard. And that requires motivation from a really compelling vision, I think.
Yeah. It's the incremental progress over time equals incredible results. And if you can get everybody contributing to just a little bit more incremental progress as we go, we're going to see those incredible results. So how do we now, you created your 4-page vivid vision. You've got your, I don't want to call it a tagline because I think that diminishes the value, but you've got the phrase that
the
you
core
can,
idea.
the core idea. There you go. So you've got your core idea. How are you, or how could other people actively communicate what their vision is? Because what I've experienced is people say, "Oh yeah, we went over our mission statement and our company vision, and we did our core values. We did them like, I don't know, 3 years ago. They're around here somewhere. I think they're in this drawer or something. I think, So how do you actually come up with it? That's one thing. How do you live it? How do you communicate it? Get other people to drink it and breathe it and have it become a part of who they are while they're at your company?
Yeah, I don't have a perfect answer for this, but I can share what I've tried so far. It seems to be gaining some momentum. One thing is to write it out. I use Notion for this because I really like Notion's ability to have like a little toggle. So I'll have like an idea and then you click the toggle and then it drops down and it has like 2 or 3 paragraphs about that, so that people can get through really quickly, what the high points of the vision are and dive deeper on the things they want to read more about. I like that. One of my favorite speakers and authors is Jordan Peterson, and he says writing is the deepest form of thinking. So the investment of thinking deeply and writing something out, the permanence of writing something out is a really powerful thing. And I think as the visionary leader in the company, regardless of the size of your company, you're the owner, you're the visionary leader. Right now you are. Taking the time to get the picture that's in your head clear for yourself by writing, and then communicate it to everyone else through writing. We use that Notion page when we hire now. I put that out on Indeed. I said, if you want to know who we are and what we stand for and where we're going, read this. I was going head to head recruiting, a regional manager level operations guy in the property management industry with a major, like a nationwide competitor that's at least 20 times as big as we are. They have 20 times more properties. They have over 15,000 properties. And all I did is talk about vision, and I shared the Notion with him, and it resonated. Meanwhile, my competitor was doing a 3rd and 4th round of interviews, and he just got he lit up about our vision, came and now he's contributing, on our team instead of that other team. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Did I share that with you already?
Yeah. Well, you and I shared that. That's what I was going to kind of weave. I was leading you to that conversation because we did have that, I think, off camera a while back. But I think a lot of people that look at their vision and they hear about this fluffy stuff and they like, yeah, my team doesn't really, they don't respond to that. They don't react to that. And I think when I hear that, my gut feel and from my experience is it's not that they don't respond to it. It's the first time you throw it out, it's kind of weird. The first time you start talking about this stuff, it's like, whoa, what is this new thing that you like? What movie did you watch last night? Like, did you learn something new at church, or did like, what's the weird thing that got into you? So I always say if you think that you've over communicated your company's mission or vision or core values, if you think it's to the point where they could mock you and move their mouths while you say the words, if you think that you're at that point, you're probably 30% of the way there.
Nice.
Because most people go home from work and they live their own lives, where us as the owners of the company or the visionary, we're constantly thinking about this stuff.
Yeah.
It is a part of who we are,
obsessing.
But it's not a part of who they are yet. We need to make it a part of who they are by just over communicating, and to the point where we almost feel like this is all we talk about. But when you think you're to the point where this is all we talk about, you're maybe 30% of the way there.
As the company grows, the job of the CEO visionary increasingly becomes having vision, holding vision, communicating vision, enrolling people in vision, and then repeat that over and over and over.
Yeah. All right, let's start to let's start to wrap this up. So
okay, let's do it.
Anything we haven't talked about around vision that you want to include in this episode?
I would say, just to recap, if it gives you chills when you think about it and when you talk about it, that's it. You're getting close to it. And the value of vision can't be overstated. And if you think, well, this is ridiculous, we're just here to do a job. My personal thank you note to each employee every week is their paycheck, personally signed by me. They should shut up and be grateful for it. Then maybe you're not the visionary. Maybe you need someone that can come take up that mantle eventually.
Yeah. I want to give just an update here on the Cocodona 250 as we're wrapping up. So
bring it around.
It's 250 miles. Jeff Browning is at 237.9. My buddy Harry is at 236 miles.
Oh, that's close. That is close.
236.2. So about a mile and a little over a mile and a half behind.
Oh my gosh, they got a race.
Yeah, it's going to be down to the wire. But what I will tell you is each one of these guys has an incredible vision of what this race is supposed to look like. And they're both way out in front of the pack because they've had a vision, they're executing it, they've communicated it to their team, their crew knows it, their pacers know it. There was no doubt about what they're trying to accomplish while they're there. And I would just encourage everybody to take that same approach in your business and in your life of what you're trying to accomplish, because both of these guys are doing something incredible. They're both going to break the course record. One of them is going to win the race, but I mean, how incredible is it for either one of them to be in that first place position? And frankly, they've both outperformed whatever the last year's winner did. So they're both excelling in a way that they wouldn't have done if they wouldn't have had the vision to come out here and set that course record. All right, Mark, always a pleasure. We have a name of the show. We don't really have an intro or an outro, but I figure it's just two guys talking at the aid station. So
we'll get it. We're making progress. Thanks, Tony.
All right. See ya. Thanks for tuning in to the Property Management Success Podcast. We'll be back with another value-packed episode to help you level up your property management game. If you've got something valuable out of today's episode, please share it with a friend or colleague, and don't forget to subscribe and leave a review so you never miss out on future insights and strategies and tactics. Until next time, here's to your success.